Who can tell me what an opposite is? We talked about this a few days ago. Olivia. Okay, so 3 and -3 are opposites. How did we describe using words what opposites are? What'd you say? Okay, they're the same distance from 0. 3 and -3 are opposites. 5 and -5 are opposites. Okay, so on page 5, we are going to focus on subtracting integers. And it has a number line. Yeah, subtraction means we're going to move backwards on the number line, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to think of subtracting as adding the opposite. So I want everybody to write add the opposite right under subtracting integers. Okay? When we subtract, we're going to move backwards. Okay? So adding the opposite is how we're going to accomplish that. Okay? So I'm going to show you what happens. Okay. -1 minus 3. We are going to change this to add the opposite. I see that it's subtraction. We are going to add the opposite. So our subtraction becomes addition, and our 3 becomes -3. Okay? Now, some of you might want to like completely rewrite it, but we can also think of this as, okay, I'm going to change the subtraction to add, and then I'm going to change 3 to opposite. So I make 2 little marks. Okay? Well, now we have -1 plus -3. Okay? That's something that for the past 2 days we've been working on. What is -1 plus -3? -4, we have 1 negative chip added to 3 negative chips. Now we have 4 of them. Okay? Okay. So let's look at number 7. Number 7, we have 9 minus 4. So since it's subtraction, we're going to change it to add the opposite. Okay, so you can rewrite it like this, or you can say, all right, I'm going to add the opposite, where I change the minus to a plus, and then I change the sign of 4 to be negative. Okay, so now we have, this is 9 minus 4. Are we really going to do this with 9 minus 4? I wouldn't. This is too much work for 9 minus 4. We know 9 minus 4 is what? 5, okay? So it's okay to like do normal subtraction too, right? But when we have negative numbers, sometimes we're not quite sure how to handle it. So if it's a subtraction, we add the opposite. So you can write -2 add -5, okay? Or if you don't want to rewrite it at all, we keep that first number as is, but then we're going to change the subtraction to addition and change our second number to opposite. Add the opposite. What's -2 plus -5? -7. Okay. So I want you and your elbow partner to agree on answers for these next 4. Do them yourself. Add the opposite. And make sure you agree on your answers. compared answers? Okay. Make sure you compare answers with somebody at your table. I know some of you don't have elbow partners, so you can talk across the table if you need to. It does work that way. You look like you're ready for. I'm jazzed, but first full week. All right, Temperance, what do you have for number 9? -2. If we add the opposite, it's like taking 4 plus -6 to get -2. Okay. Stephen, what about number 10? -3 minus 3. All right. It is tempting. It is very tempting to want to put 0. And if you did, it's okay. Erase it. Let's talk about it. But when we are subtracting, we know we're adding the opposite. So I'm going to add the opposite. Change the subtraction to the plus, which means we need to change the sign of our second number. Add the opposite. Okay? -3 plus -3 is -6. Okay. All right, Jacob Tanner, what about this number 11? Okay. Did you make the marks for add the opposite? Okay. So when we add the opposite, we have -28 plus -8. Okay, so Jacob Tanner is changing his answer to -36. Okay. Make sure if we're going to add the opposite, we're making 2 marks. We're making the subtraction sign a plus. And then in this case, we're taking our positive number and making it negative. Okay. All right. -5 minus 11. It's subtraction. Let's add the opposite. Okay. Tegan, what do you have for number 12?
-16.
Beautiful. If we add the opposite, we have -5 plus -11. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to head down here. Okay. You already have 13 through 18 filled out because we did those 2 days ago with our addition problems. But notice how 19 through 24, we now have subtraction problems where we're subtracting a negative number. So let's look at what this looks like when we're subtracting. Okay? So I'm going to zoom in on number 19. We have 9 minus -2. Subtraction means add the opposite. Well, everybody look at the board right now. Everybody look at the board. Not me. Look at the board. We're going to add the opposite. So I'm going to change the subtraction to addition, and then I need to make my second number opposite. We are adding the opposite. So our answer is 11, because it's 9 plus 2.
So we defer.
If it's subtraction, we change it to add the opposite. Okay. In number 20, we have -12 minus -3. So since it's subtraction, we're going to add the opposite. So now we have -12 plus a +3. What does that leave for us? What? -9? Is that what you said? I couldn't tell because you're here. Have some confidence. Hello. Thank you. All right. Those 4. Do them. Compare answers. Go. But don't because then I'll probably not get enough time to walk through, right? If you haven't already, because I haven't heard a lot of noise, check answers with your neighbor. All right, Shannon, when we add the opposite, what do we get for number 21? 10. If we add the opposite, we now have 0 plus positive 10. Okay. Claire, what about 22? You got 13? Okay. If we add the opposite, we have 6 plus positive 19, which, yes, is a positive 13. Landon with an I, what do we got for number 23? 21. If we add the opposite, we now have negative 2 plus a positive 23. Okay. Amari, what do you have for 24? Amari has 28. If we add the opposite, you're right. We have 21 plus positive 7. Okay. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We are going to grab a whiteboard and a marker.